Nemo Radio is on the air.
A, B, C. A, always, B, B, C, closing. Always be closing. Always be closing.
Surely you can't be serious.
I am serious. And don't call me Shirley.
Put that coffee down. Coffee's for closers only. Come after me! I'm a man! I'm 40!
Hey, it's John Nemo. Welcome back to another episode of Nemo Radio. And I'm just laughing at humans. Human beings, what is wrong with you people? Okay, so that could encompass a lot in today's world. Like, what is wrong with people? Like, where do you want to start? Okay, but anyway, I want to talk about a core tenet, a core philosophy, a core lesson that my business coach, John Michael Morgan, has just drilled into me. And I really need to just tattoo this on my forehead so I see it in the mirror every day because it's true. And every time I run into pain, it's because I forgot this philosophy. I forgot this axiom. I forgot this truth. And I always tell John Morgan, he's like, told you. Here it is, right? Ready? Here it is. If you're doing a service-based business in particular, an agency, coaching, consulting, where you're getting involved with clients of any sort, here's what it is. And he told me this from day one, and I need to hear it every day from here on out. He said, you win or you lose based on client selection. So I'm going to repeat that. You win or lose based on client selection. And it's so interesting how far I've come and how mindset plays into this as well. So the example I had today was I was prospecting on LinkedIn and talking to somebody, and they were like, hey, I was on your recent Noon with Nemo, and I saw you had an online course. Is that still available? Right? I'd like to use PayPal credit to purchase it. And so that's red flag number one. Like, okay, you have to take a loan from PayPal to buy my online course, which is, only $197. Like, it's not 10 grand, right? So it's like, okay, you need to take a loan to buy a $200 online course. Okay, so that's a red flag one on client selection. But I'm like, okay, let's see where this goes. So I'm like, yeah, you can still get the course. Here's the link. And the person's like, well, I'd like to have you get on the phone with me and explain the whole course. And I want to see a curriculum and a syllabus. And I want this, and I want this, and I want this. And I'm like, okay, red flag number two, like, you have to take a loan out to buy the course, but you want my personal one-on-one time to talk through what's in the course. And so I'm like, well, let's take this a little further. So I send another message and I say, hey, here's a link to the course page with descriptions of, what's in the course. Here's a link to a video where I walked through the course and showed you what's under the hood. Also, if it makes you feel better, to reassure you, like all my online courses come with a risk-free 30-day money-back guarantee. So, it's something where you can test it out. If it's not working, you get a refund, no questions asked, no hassle, no drama. So, and again, this particular course that I was talking about is designed to get people quick wins. It's very simple to apply and implement. So it's not rocket science. It's not like you have 2 weeks of learning before you can apply anything. So I read all that back and the person's like, can you split it into 2 payments? I'm like, okay, red flag number 6,000. And so again, win or lose based on client selection. Now, old me with a scarcity mindset of, I can't lose a sale. I got to get every penny. I can't afford I'm going to bend over backward and jump through hoops and change my process. If they want to pay 2 payments or 10 payments, I'll do it. And I used to do that and reset everything and go out and build out a new sales page and new payment plans and new shopping carts and special exceptions. Inevitably, because you win or lose based on client selection, those people that I did all that extra work for and did extra payments and this and that refunded anyway, or their payments failed. So in this case with this individual, again, I thankfully don't have the scarcity mindset right now. So I'm like, no, it's one payment of $200. I don't do multiple payments. Sorry. And just moved on. And the person's like, well, I'll think about it. I'm like, you go think. Like, again, that's the secret is you win or lose based on client selection, whether it's an online course, a product, or obviously higher touch client services. And I've really found that to be true where, again, and this if you're a coach or consultant or you run an agency with a team, especially delivering the service, like one bad client can just destroy everything. Like one bad client can just, eviscerate and evaporate your morale. your team morale, your morale, like what is it now? Like, and again, we all have this happen. And again, you win or lose based on client selection. And I have learned and I have owned it and apologized to my team over the years with our agency and gone, you know what? That's my bad. We win or lose based on client selection. There were some red flags with that person. I basically got greedy and really wanted the payday. So I overlooked that, and sure enough, it was Nightmare on Elm Street, right? Like, my bad. And it takes a lot of discipline and a lot of practice to not just have that scarcity mindset and chase the money, right? Because people will dangle that. Like, I'll buy your thing, but I want you to do this, 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 and this. And if you think about, like, if you flip it around, you don't go into an Apple store, right, where they don't have the scarcity mindset. You don't go to an Apple store and go, yeah, I'm interested in an iPhone, but I'd like to know if you'll break that into 17 payments, and then can I have a 30-day refund period, and also can I do a PayPal loan, and then, I also want a free iPad and blah, 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 and then if it gets me business, then I'll keep the phone and pay you. Like, you wouldn't do that, right? And yet, why do we do that for certain clients? Because we have that scarcity mindset, fear-based. And the reality is, the more that time I've spent prospecting and doing business and sales is there are so many prospects. There are so many people. The reality is, with the internet and technology and social media, you literally can reach billions of people. And within your niche, whatever it is you do, your little corner of the world, there are hundreds of thousands, if not millions of people that you can reach who, in theory, would want to buy your product or service. So just, you don't have to settle for the bad clients or the bad sales, right? And it takes so much discipline, but I'm telling you, like, I'm speaking out of and I'm laughing at the example today with the online course sale where, yeah, a couple years ago, I would have done that. I would have been like, sure thing, like, I'll help you apply for the PayPal loan and I'll make 2 payments, and would it be easier to make 3? And I guarantee you that person would have refunded or would have had a million questions, would have gone outside the scope of service for that course, would have been emailing me, calling my cell phone, whatever it is, right? Because they're not a good fit. Like, you win or lose based on client selection. And so at this point, it's like, okay, what are the red flags? Like, how do you know, right? Okay, you win or lose based on client selection. How do you know what is or isn't a good client or a good student or whatever? I think it's different for everyone. And honestly, it just takes experience at doing it long enough. And one of the things that I've really tried to implement with both my online course sales and then the Done For You agency service, right, or even coaching and consulting is, when you have a nightmare client, learn from it. Like, jot down all the things that client did that just tanked your morale, drove you crazy. What did they do? What were those negative things that really hurt you? Were they constantly going outside the scope of service, outside the scope of contract? Were they contacting you at all hours, expecting you to be on demand? Were they one of those mini bosses, right? Where they're calling you on the weekend and like, well, come on, I'm paying you money. Why aren't you doing everything? Like, what was it that you didn't like? Were they, a lot of times I have found the people that haggle the most on price and haggle and whittle down the price as low as you're willing to go are the worst clients. And they're the ones that end up refunding the course, or they're the ones that end up don't make the payments, or they're the ones that end up not having success and, not bought in and don't do what you tell them and just drain everyone. And so that's a red flag. That's a thing where client selection, if you're going to, haggle and price. If price is the biggest thing and you want to go as low as possible to get the service from me, that's a red flag. No. Right? Like, okay, whoa, we know that if you're that worried about it, probably that client, that prospect has a scarcity mindset, right? Or they're just going to try to nickel and dime you and squeeze more out of you than they're supposed to get, right? So for me, with the agency-based stuff, I'll actually use that as part of the sales call now. So when I interview people, for the Done For You LinkedIn lead generation agency as a potential client, I won't say yes right away. Like, I'll do the whole thing and, hey, what do you need help with? Qualify them, blah, 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 blah. And then when it gets to the point where they're like, okay, well, what does it look like to work together? Or how would I work with you? I'll go, well, wait, like, before I'm willing to offer you service. And again, this isn't a tactic. This isn't some trick. It's me making sure that I'm going to win or lose based on selecting this client. So I'll say to them, well, I just want to turn the tables for a minute here. Like, why would you be a great client for us? Why would we love to work with you? And inevitably that everyone gets taken aback. They're like, it's a great question. Like, and then based on that answer, I really can kind of ferret out any red flags. But the answer I'm looking for is, well, I'm going to trust you. Like, you're the expert. I'm hiring you because I want to get this outcome on LinkedIn, and I'm not going to be here to micromanage and nitpick. I'm going to do what you tell me. I'm a hard worker. I'm going to apply what you say. I'm going to follow along. I'm not going to, have to micromanage and control everything. I'm not going to, go outside the scope, whatever it is, right? I want results. I'm engaged. I'm enthusiastic. I'm very clear on what I need to do. I'll be a great referral. I'll be a great reference. I'm going to be your number one fan. I know it's going to work. Someone says that, it's like, okay, great, let's roll. If someone, but a lot of times you'll ferret out stuff, and I'll even say if they don't give a good, clear answer to that question of why would you be a good client for us, I'll say to them, well, let me rephrase it. I'm like, here's the clients that are nightmares. Like, I just wanted to see, and it's totally fine if this feels like, yeah, this wouldn't be a good fit, but here's when we run into trouble. And I do it in a better way. I don't just say, here's clients who are nightmares. I do a Dale Carnegie approach. I say, well, let me just step back for a minute because I really want to explore, like, obviously, if you engage us for done for you services, I want to make sure it works and you get what you want, and that also it's a good fit for us. Like, we're pretty choosy about client selection, as right? I do the Carnegie and I throw it back to them. As you win or lose based on client selection. So, the times it doesn't work, because that's a question every prospect has, is, well, when would LinkedIn lead generation, done for you that you're doing not work? And I say, here's the cases where it doesn't work. And then I list off all the stuff that nightmare clients do. And I'll say stuff like, the client doesn't trust us. The client doesn't trust our copy. The client micromanages everything. The client can't let go of their baby. The client keeps saying, nope, don't do it this way, do it that way. And like rewriting everything, you're controlling everything. And then that's where we say, like, why did you hire us? You know what I mean? Like, you hired us to do the writing, the messaging, the branding, the like design, whatever. And like, you still don't like any of it and control it all and don't trust our expertise. It fails, right? Or we had, it'll fail in this instance with done for you lead generation because we're not doing the sales. So I'll bring you the leads, I'll qualify them, I'll warm them up, I'll book the calls, but you got to close them, right? So I'll say, just being straight with you, like, if you're not good at closing or not good at sales or don't have someone who can close leads, this will fail. I'll get you a bunch of leads. You won't close any. At the end of the day, you'll just get mad and you'll say, I spent X dollars for done for you lead generation. I made 0 sales. This stinks. You're the worst. I hate you. Right? And I'll go, so I don't want that. Like, I can get you the leads, but if you can't close them, it's pointless. And I look for people to be self-reflective and either say, oh no, dude, I'm a closer. Like, I got this. I'm an animal. I love it. I love sales. Or I have a great sales guy. They're awesome. You just need to warm them up. They'll take it. We know how to close. Or they'll be self-reflective and go, yeah, you know what? I really do struggle with sales. I'm not good at sales. I've lived off warm referrals where it's very easy to close a person because their friend recommended them to me. And I love that. And I say, okay, great. Like, you're being honest and self-aware. That means you're a good client. We can help you close the sales. We have sales training, or we can try to, do a side agreement where we try to close the sales for you, or we can help you find a salesperson. Like, then we can still move forward. But that's the kind of stuff where I've had to learn that over time, right? I didn't know that day one when I opened the agency. I just learned through pain of bad clients what works and what doesn't, both with the online courses and the Done For You agency. So again, learn what the nightmare clients teach you very valuable lessons. The key is just not to repeat them, right? The key is to say, okay, that client was a nightmare. Why were they a nightmare? And how can we avoid letting someone like that through our doors in the future, right? And then once you know that, you can screen people better. You can do a better job on the sales on the front end. You can put policies in place to fix or prevent people from being nightmare clients. So once they do come in, there's still clear expectations and boundaries about things like when they can contact you, or don't call me on Friday night. Like, make it clear up front, like set the tone, set the expectation, train the client, how they should communicate and when they can communicate and when and where and how and all that stuff. So there's so much that goes into it. But again, that's that core lesson that I come back to again and again. And I was just reminded of it this morning doing the online messaging on LinkedIn with this person about the online course. I'm like, gosh, this is a classic example. I guarantee you, based on my past experience, if I give this person everything they want and spend all this time and court them and split it into payments and they get a loan, they're just going to refund, right? They probably don't have what it takes to be successful, or scarcity mindset, or they don't have the money, right? And they're stretching anyway, and they're not going to be able to give it attention, and there's too much pressure on them because they've literally had to take a loan out. Like, that's not a good place to be in, right? You're taking a loan and this has to work or else. And so all that to say, take the time to really learn and implement. And remember this, right? You win or lose based on client selection. So there you go. There you go. Another quick tip, another quick episode. There's just so much value in being in the trenches, learning this stuff, and then making sure you can, implement it in your business, because that's really where the secret success is, the sauce, all that good stuff of how you grow and get better. So thanks for listening, and we'll see you soon on another episode.